Welcome to Foundations of Software Architecture. In this video, we are going to look at one of the most misunderstood roles in software, the architect. By the end, you will know what an architect actually does all day, why that work is harder than it looks, and how to start thinking the way an architect thinks. Here is the pain every growing team eventually feels. Individual developers make perfectly reasonable local decisions, but nobody is watching how those decisions interact across the whole system. Business requirements change, but there is no clear line from a business goal to a technical constraint. The result is a code base that feels impossible to change, a team that ships slower and slower, and stakeholders who have no idea why. Think about the architect on a construction project. The plumber knows pipes, the electrician knows wiring, and the structural engineer knows load-bearing walls. But someone has to hold the single drawing that shows where all three are at once, resolve conflicts before concrete is poured, and translate the client's vision into instructions every trade can follow. That person is the architect, and software has the same need. Here is the architect's structural position. Above them sit business stakeholders with goals and budgets, and end users with real needs. Below them are the engineering teams who build and operate the system. The architect sits in the middle, translating in both directions. They turn business goals into technical constraints the teams can act on, and they surface technical realities upward so stakeholders can make informed decisions. That two-way bridge is the job. Walk through what the architect actually does when a business goal arrives. First, they translate it into a measurable quality attribute, in this case latency. Then they evaluate structural options, not one correct answer but several with different costs. They document the chosen direction and the reasoning, so teams know not just what to build but why. Finally, they communicate impact upward, giving stakeholders an honest picture of risk and timeline. Every step requires both technical and human judgment. There are two failure modes for the role. An Ivory-Tower architect produces beautiful diagrams but has no connection to the teams building the system, so the design slowly drifts into irrelevance. An embedded architect stays close, hears real constraints, and treats decisions as living things that can be revisited. The cost of being embedded is time, but the cost of being Ivory-Tower is a system that nobody actually builds the way it was designed. The trade-off is real, but the direction is clear. So how do you start thinking this way? The first habit is asking why before how. Understand the business pressure before reaching for a pattern. The second is writing down trade-offs, not just the outcome, so the team can revisit them when context changes. Architects own the decisions nobody else is positioned to own, like how data flows across the whole system. And critically, they grow the team's judgment, so the architecture outlives any single person. Let us close with the core ideas. An architect is a bridge between the business and the engineering team, translating goals into structures and constraints into realistic expectations. The job is not to find the perfect design, but to make trade-offs explicit and survivable. Cross-cutting concerns need a single owner or they fall through the cracks. And the best measure of an architect's work is whether the team can reason well about the system, even when the architect is not in the room.